Welcome back to the Williams Report. Today I'm at the Lehigh City Hall in Utah, and today I've been given the great opportunity to sit down with former Miss Utah's teen, Gardner. Kira, thank you so much for joining me and giving me your time.
Of course, I'm so excited to be here.
To start things off, why don't you share with us a bit of your early life in Utah and how it influenced your journey to pageantry?
Yeah, so I've lived in Utah my whole life. I've been here all 18 years, and I love it here. Utah has always been my home. It's always been my favorite place. No matter where I travel, I've always felt like Utah is just the place that I belong. It kind of started when I was 3 years old into getting involved in pageantry. My mom, she helped with the Miss Lehigh organization. She just helped with tickets. And that gave me the opportunity to get to know the girls, be behind the scenes, and be there on pageant day to meet all of the girls and see, all the things that went into it. And I will just never forget seeing these women and just being so inspired at such a young age and seeing so many beautiful young women who were out there actually creating a change. And so I knew at a very young age that, I loved my city, I loved my state, I loved my community, and I wanted to be the kind of person to go out into my community and make a change.
That's really cool. I guess when you start off with 3 and your mom was a big influence on your journey.
Absolutely.
So what inspired you to enter your first pageant, and how did that experience shape your journey?
So I started when I was 13. I did my very first pageant, Miss Lehigh's Teen. I had no idea what I was doing. And my mom, I have a lot of people ask me all the time, like, was it your mom that put you in it? Like, was she the one that pressured you into it? And she was actually the one that was like, are you sure? Are you sure this is something that you want to do? And she just really wanted to make sure that it was, my choice, and it 100% was, because like I mentioned, I just love people. I love the inspirational influence that all of these title holders have. And so right when I turned 13, I wanted that opportunity to perhaps become one of them. And it was just awesome getting to do it when I was 13. It taught me a lot.
Now, going back to the moment that you were crowned Miss Lehigh's Outstanding Teen in 2022, what emotions were you feeling?
There were so many. I can't emphasize enough that I did not think that would ever be in the cards for me. I will never forget standing there holding hands, and I heard my name, Kira Gardner, Miss Lehigh's Teen 2022, and I just stood there in shock, because it's been a dream of mine since I was 3. I've been watching these girls on this stage since I was 3 years old. I've seen the impact and all the opportunities that are given to them. And I wanted it so bad. And I honestly just kind of went through all the things that I experienced. In my head, I had flashbacks, just like a movie, of all the things I went through to get to that point. And so I felt overwhelming gratitude, love. I remember making eye contact with my mom in the audience and just sobbing as she's sobbing, because she knew how much I wanted it. And so that was really a moment I'll never forget.
So, going back again to 2022, when you held the title as Miss Lehigh's Outstanding Teen, how did that role prepare you for the Miss Utah's Teen competition?
The Miss Utah's Teen competition is very different from any local around the state. It's very big. There are at least 30 to 40 to sometimes 50 girls competing, so it's a very big competition, and the stakes are a lot higher. You have preliminaries, so you have 2 nights before where you do all of your prelims, and then you have finals night, and that's when they condense all of the girls to top 10. And so that's kind of the goal, is you want to make top 10. And I remember going into it as Miss Lehigh's Teen my first year, and I didn't think I was going to place. I didn't think I was going to do well. I was just so excited to be there and just have fun. And I remember going and just had the time of my life. I performed one of my favorite hip hop dances. I really stayed true to who I was. I had one of the best interviews that I have ever had. And I just remember I placed first runner-up, and that was something that I came home and I was like, I never thought I'd be able to do this. And so it really helped being Miss Lehigh's Teen, having all of that community involvement and having all of that experience as Miss Lehigh's Teen. to prepare for this because it's so grueling and you have to have a positive mindset. You have to have a purpose, and I definitely got that from being Miss Lehigh's teen because I just really got to know people all around me and knew that I wanted to get to know more.
Now, while preparing for the Miss Utah's Teen competition, what were the biggest challenges you faced and how did you overcome them?
So going back to Miss Utah's Teen my second year, I struggled a lot. It was something, I'm very open about it because I want people to know and understand that, everyone experiences anxiety, everyone experiences self-doubt, and everyone experiences fear. And I really experienced that the whole year leading up to Miss Utah's Teen because after I placed first runner-up, I knew that there was a lot of pressure on me and that a lot of eyes were going to be watching me because, I placed first runner-up. So a lot of people want to watch the first runner-up and see how they do. And I knew that there was only technically one way that I could do better, and that was to win the title of Miss Utah's Teen. And so it was very mentally challenging. I had many days that I almost quit, many days that I thought I wasn't good enough and that I didn't deserve the role. And it wasn't until, honestly, like the weekend of, I will never forget walking to my interview and just feeling like just light and airy, knowing that like I was in the right place and to trust in God's timing. That is a very big thing to me. And I will also, I thought I broke my toe that night, and I had someone come in and I tripped on a floor mic, and I was just like, great, everything's going wrong for me. I don't think this is where I'm supposed to be. And I had a little breakdown that night, and I had one of my amazing sisters, she's not actually my sister, but basically one of my sisters come up to me. Yeah, like a role model, someone like a hostess there to help me, and she gave me the best pep talk. And I remember that night I was like, I can do this. And I ended up going on that stage and said a prayer before every single area of competition and just learned to have faith in myself and trusted myself. And I ended up winning the title Miss Utah's Teen, which again was a huge shock for me that even to this day I'm like, oh wow, I did that. So it's very special.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big moment for you. I guess for a lot of young girls who are competing for it too, who don't get the title, but
yeah,
they look forward to it still, and you did, so.
Thank you.
After winning the title of Miss Utah's Teen in 2024, what was that moment like for you, and how did it feel to achieve a childhood dream of yours?
Well, I went through a lot in middle school. In 8th grade and 9th grade, I was severely bullied, and that is kind of the reason why I kept doing pageants. I had this specific bully tell me that I would never make it anywhere, that I could never amount to anything, and he especially knew how badly I wanted to be a pageant queen and a role model and a title holder, and he especially knocked me down on that and told me I would never be able to accomplish that. And so I remember winning Miss Utah's Teen, and I stood there as Jalen Lindley was putting the crown on my head, and I'm sobbing and in shock, and I just looked back at that 13-year-old Kira who was bullied, who thought I would never amount to anything, and thinking about how I get to share my story and help others around me feel safe, feel loved, and feel the hope that I really needed when I was bullied. And so that was such a great moment, and honestly, time stopped. It was like slow motion for me. I, again, made eye contact with every single judge, said thank you, and just felt so much gratitude and love. And again, I knew it was God's plan for me, and I'm so grateful.
It's really good. Congratulations again for winning.
Thank you.
As Miss Utah's Teen, how did you balance the responsibilities of being Miss Utah's Teen with your personal life, but also with school at the time?
It was hard. It was really, really hard. I'm not even going to lie. I had so many days. I can be an anxious person sometimes where if I'm not moving my body, if I'm not super organized, then I have nights where I just crumble and think that it's the end of the world. And so it was especially hard for me on some nights when I felt super overwhelmed with my math homework, with all my honors classes, with being a senior in high school, trying to soak everything in, while also being busy, preparing for Miss America, so much stuff that I didn't have time to hang out with friends. And I really learned how to prioritize my time and how to listen to my body. That was very important throughout my year. I had to listen to when I needed a break and when I needed, to say no to things. I could say no and stay home and take a self-care day. And that was definitely changed my whole year, because I think if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have been able to feel successful or to have had the year I had.
Um, while preparing for the Miss America's teen pageant, after winning the Miss Utah's teen title in 2024, what was that preparation process like for you?
So preparing for Miss America's teen was a lot different for me, because it's very different than a local and even a state title holder. The Miss America organization, the National Miss America pageant, is finding the girls to represent the overall Miss America brand. And so they want someone who is able to present themselves on stage, it's the same all throughout local and state, but especially on the national stage. They want to see that you can model a certain brand. They want to see that you are put together and that you can answer hard questions on the spot, because that is the job of Miss America. So I really focused on self-care while preparing for Miss America, because it was overwhelming knowing that I was the only girl from Utah representing Utah at the teen Miss America pageant. And so I definitely wanted to focus on being true to myself, being real and authentic and genuine, because that is something that I think the world really needs right now. And I wanted more than anything to be a role model like that on that national stage, just like Miss America 2021, Emma Broyles, was for me. She was the reason that I stood up for myself while I was being severely bullied, because of her onstage question at Miss America. She really inspired me to stand up for myself and say no to bullying. And so I just really focused on my purpose, my why, and of course I had some walking practices, I had a lot of dance practices, and I got to fly to New York City to go pick out my dream dress that really, really represented me. So it was a hard experience, but it was an experience I wouldn't trade for anything.
That's really cool. I didn't know that about New York, that you had to fly there.
Yeah.
Dress,
Oh, it was the coolest thing in the world.
If I remember right, it was yellow, I think?
Yes.
I think it was a yellow gown, yes. Do you remember a specific moment from the Miss America's teen pageant that stood out to you the most?
There were so many. Honestly, there's countless that are in my head right now. One of my favorites was when I walked out of my interview. I was, of course, nervous for this interview because it was a big interview. And I remember walking in and I was so excited. I really was. I walked in just excited to talk to these judges, to have the opportunity to even interview in Florida for Miss America's teen. It was just so special. And I remember after I finished telling my story, I finished my 6-minute interview, which is very short. Normally they're 10 minutes at state. So 6 minutes was very, very short for me. But I remember as I was walking out, one of the judges told me that they were incredibly impressed by me and my story. And so as I walked out, I started crying because I felt so inspired and just grateful that I was able to do what I wanted to accomplish. So that was by far one of the most memorable experiences. Plus, doing my talent on that stage, I will never forget seeing the audience on their feet after I finished my Michael Jackson hip-hop performance and seeing my family in the audience, my mom crying. My uncle I haven't seen in 4 years was there, and it was just overall such a special experience to dance on that stage.
That's really cool. What were the feelings that were going through you when knowing that you were representing Utah on such a prestigious platform, and what did it mean to you personally?
Of course, I was very anxious. Of course, I was nervous because I love Utah so much and I wanted to make Utah proud. And I really took that upon myself to make sure that I made everyone proud, that I was their girl to represent them. And that was a lot of pressure, but I was also very honored to hold that title and to wear that sash over my heart. Having that name with me honestly gave me strength, because Utah to me isn't just a location, but it's the people that are in it. And as Miss Utah's teen, Miss Lehigh's teen, and Miss Timpanogos' teen, I was able to meet so many people, learn so many stories, learn so many cultures, and just connect with people on another level, that I was so honored to represent brands, to represent those stories, to represent my story, as well as the people that helped me get there. It was just overall incredible.
Now, looking back to your whole journey through pageantry, how do you feel about the friendships and connections you made through the Miss Utah's teen organization?
Yeah, so we have what's called Pillars of the Crown, and one of them is sisterhood. Sisterhood is a very, very big thing in the Miss America organization. I especially am thinking of the girls that I was competing with at Miss America. We became very close, especially me and my roommate, Charlie. She was Miss Vermont's teen, and we just went through everything together. The Miss America pageant, any pageant, is an experience that not many girls get to go through. And it's something that bonds girls together like nothing else, because you're stressed, you're nervous, you're excited, you want to do well, you want everyone to do well. And I have so many memories, like getting a spray tan at 3 in the morning at Miss America with some of my best friends as we're, sitting in this empty convention room just laughing on the floor. I have so many funny videos I'll show you sometime, but it was just very special, and it's very awesome knowing that I have that sisterhood that will be with me forever.
Looking back again to overall, what role did your family play in supporting you throughout your pageant journey?
Basically, I wouldn't be here if it weren't for my family. I have 4 brothers. All of them are amazing. I'm the second oldest, so I have 3 younger brothers and 1 older, and they made sure to support me with everything I did. They came to pageants with me. They came to my events with me, because as Miss Utah's teen, you have events nearly daily, and your own social media manager, all of the stuff. And so they were always there to support me and to make sure that when I came home, I was home. And of course, my parents are just, I honestly literally would not be here without my parents. But my mom was the one that really helped me when I was feeling scared and anxious and all of the feelings. She was there when I felt happy, and she would be with me through every event. And she really is my rock and one of my best friends. And then my dad, he's one of my biggest supporters, and even though he's not your typical pageant dad, he was always there supporting me, always there telling me that I looked beautiful, even when I didn't feel like it. And of course, he was able to provide some things for me that I was not able to provide for myself. So I'm very, very extremely grateful for them.
So, looking back to right now, currently, what does your community service initiative, Hope Through the Arts, mean to you, and how did it form? How did you develop it?
So Hope Through the Arts is my community service initiative, and every single girl has some way that they want to impact the community. And for me, I knew that I wanted to do something along the lines of hope and the arts, because I'm a dancer. I love to dance. I am also a florist, and all things art is just my favorite. And especially while I was going through this time of being bullied, I didn't feel loved. I didn't feel safe anywhere besides my home and my dance studio. And my dance studio was the only place I was able to go and feel normal and feel like people wanted me there and that I would amount to something. And it was after I overcame that I looked back and realized how much dance helped me. And so while I was thinking about what I wanted to do and how I wanted to make a change in the community, I knew that I wanted to use my story of how the arts helped me. I started my own floral business because I was bullied. And now I'm doing weddings at least every month. And I am just so humbled to know that I have been able to use Hope Through the Arts to share my story. And I've been able to host monthly workshops and do a bunch of service projects to bring people together and bring awareness of hope through the arts.
That's really cool. While serving as Miss Utah's teen, was there a memorable experience interaction that you remember with someone outside the organization? And if so, what was that experience and interaction?
I had so many experiences with little girls. That was something very special to me because I remember being that little girl going up to the title holders and just being in awe and taking pictures with them and hanging it up in my bedroom. And so that was really special for me when those little girls would come up to me. But I had a lot of experiences where people would sit with me and share their stories of how they were bullied or how they experienced something completely different that I've never experienced, and how my workshops or just hearing my story would help them get through that. And so just that was life-changing for me to realize that when I felt so small, feeling that small turned into something so big. And it's just, I have a testimony of that. Like, I know that when you go through a hard time, you're going through it for a reason, and that's most of the time to help someone else and to use your story to help someone else. And so I really encourage you, if you're ever feeling down, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling depressed or anything else, there is someone out there that has felt the same way and is there for you and wants to be there for you.
Looking back, how do you think your experiences in pageantry have changed you overall as a person?
I am so much more confident in myself. That is something that I think I would not have had if I didn't compete in these scholarship pageants. I have been able to learn how to interview, how to stand on a stage on the spot and speak about myself, speak about something I'm passionate about. I've learned how to have no fear. That's one of my favorite mottos, is no fear, because I love getting to remind myself that there is no such thing as fear. There is. But if you pretend that there isn't, then you're able to do so much more. And so I was just really able to push myself outside of my comfort zone, learn more about myself, learn about my foundation, who I am, and how I want to use that to make an impact on those around me.
My last question for you. What's a message you would like to send to young girls out there who are wanting to and inspired to compete in a pageant?
Pageants are not always what you think. I know a lot of people think they're a beauty pageant, but I promise you they're not. Although the pretty dresses are so much fun and a big part of it, what really matters is who you are. I definitely would say to anyone that came up to me asking about competing in a pageant is to be yourself. That is the most important thing. You should not ever have to change yourself to fit into a mold, because there is no mold. I just remember when I first competed for Miss Lehigh's teen, I did a hip hop dance to Godzilla by Eminem. And I had a lot of people tell me they loved it, and a lot of people tell me that they hated it. And so that really took a toll on me. And so the next year I changed my whole talent because I wanted people to like it. And I realized it wasn't true to myself. So when I went back to Miss Utah's teen, I did a hip hop, and I stayed true to myself. And I ended up doing a hip hop on the Miss America stage. And I think it's so important to just remember that you are enough. And God created every single person to be different for a reason. And I think that's what makes Earth and America and Lehigh and Utah so beautiful, is that there are so many different people. So don't be afraid to let your light shine.
I think we said is very inspiring and will be motivating to a lot of young girls out there who are thinking about going to pageantry and aren't sure, but now maybe they'll be more sure.
I hope so. It's so fun. Just do it. It's just fun. And you get scholarship money. I just paid off 2 years.
Benefit.
Yeah, I just paid off 2 years of college today because of my scholarship money. So that's also a big perk.
Benefits for it.
Yes.
That does it for our interview today. Kira, again, thank you so much for joining me and sharing your journey and story with me and everyone else out there.
Of course. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.